We are live. We are live. First time live here at AMRL 2021. I don't know if that part will be in the actual interview, but we are joined by Gemma, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing globally for Calvary Robotics. And Joe, since this is your, let's say, it's your second official manufacturing happy hour video. We've talked to you before, but we didn't get to ask this question last time. If we were having this conversation over a drink in your home turf of Rochester, where would we be doing that right now?
Where we'd be doing the question, or
where would we be having this conversation if we were in Rochester right now? I can start over also if you prefer.
Okay. No, sorry. I get to, first of all, thanks for having me back. Yeah. It's nice to see you both again. Where would we be having this? Let's see. I would probably recommend, can I recommend restaurants?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a neat little restaurant right in the Webster area. So we're actually in Webster, just outside of Rochester. Mm-hmm. It's called JoJo's. It has nothing to do with my name.
Yeah.
But it's called JoJo's. But it really is a nice ambiance. It's one of the things they really do well there is in restaurants like that, the noise abatement can be a real challenge.
Yeah.
They've done a great job with that. So it's a great place. So when we do that the next time,
okay,
I'll invite you there. We'll go to JoJo's.
All right. Well, I look forward.
JoJo's it is.
Yeah. Next conversation at JoJo's. But we are here at the AMRL conference right now. And Jake, you are our resident robotics expert, really. Actually, I'm between two robotics experts, but I want to give you the first proper question of this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at the AMRL conference, and Calvary Robotics has been doing industrial robotic integration, collaborative robotic integration for years. Mm-hmm. And your experience going back to the International Federation of Robotics, you're on the boards at A3 and RIA. Why is AMRs the future of a lot of industries? And why is it important as a systems integrator who has been doing custom machines for so many years? Why is this conference important to you?
It's a great question. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. In fact, I like to say this is probably, at least in the last 5 years, one of the most disruptive technologies we've seen in our industry. And as you said, I've been around a long time. And there's been some other really game-changing things. Collaborative robots was one of them a few years ago, and that really made a difference in what we were able to do in different environments. Prior to that, maybe software. You think about the mechanics of the industrial traditional robots. It's been around a long time. It's a pretty mature technology. Even in the early days, the gearing and motors, that wasn't really earth-shattering. It's gotten better through the years, for sure. But software was a big leap. That made a big difference to be able to implement technology in manufacturing and processes. And then collaborative was another kind of big leap, and it's still growing. But this is and probably comparing those three as big, if not bigger. And the reason I say that is disruptive in that, think about the traditional way we've used robots, and people think about the automotive. That's what the vision comes to everybody's head, welding the things. Well, you think about how we handle that. We took the product to a place and said, okay, do this robot automation, whatever it was, assembly or welding or drilling or processing, whatever it was. We asked to do it at that location, right? We brought it to the location. AMRs is a whole new venture that way. We can bring automation to a process. So there's areas today that we can address we never could. A good example of that struggle with trying to use automation is the wind blade manufacturing. Mm-hmm. In fact, because of the science and the technology, materials technology changes, they've been able to get those to make them longer and longer, benefit by that whole motion of what that can do. But if you automated it, you'd be kind of in a fixed location, the typical traditional way to automate. You'd be in a fixed location, you had to work around that location. So if you made it longer, okay, I can't use the automation anymore. Mm-hmm. So you got to throw that out, start again. Well, with the advent of AMRs and a robot mounted on it, let's say cleaning the edge, they didn't really clean it, they kind of polish the edge of those. Doesn't matter. If it goes from 10 meter to 20 meter to 30 meter, the AMR with a robot on it can traverse that whole length, make it 35 and a half meters, doesn't really care. It can traverse along that. So that's an area we, in the past, never would address it, have people. And up until now, that's how they did it. They had people along the edge of those blades and trying to smooth that out and make that look, get the benefit of the aerodynamics, et cetera. So that's one. Think about other new areas like construction. You talked about it at this conference, in fact. Mm-hmm. Construction areas that you couldn't do that with the traditional robot. How do you bring a building to a robot? You can't. You need to bring the automation to the building. Another is agriculture, and that's a growing area, and I think we'll see a lot of growth in that area in the coming years, particularly because of AMRs and the ability to move technology around the processes. And that's indoor and outdoor agricultural environments. So it's really a game changer. I know that term is overused, but it really is a game changer. It's disruptive technology that we're going to see it implemented more and more.
So we're talking about different disruptive technologies. We're talking about solutions. From a systems integrator, from a custom machine builder, there's a bunch of terminologies that people use in the industry. There's 2 dozen different manufacturers here of AMRs and AGVs, autonomous forklifts. What types of solutions or what types of, decision matrix are you guys putting in to determine what value here or what type of company here is bringing the most value to a systems integrator? When you're adding a project and there's dozens of different options, what's your decision to go with a type of brand?
Another great question. And as a systems integrator, you probably recognize we don't necessarily work on a particular product OEM platform.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah, and sometimes it is dictated by the customer and what they use and technologies they're familiar with. But often they'll come to us and say, we want the best technology. And that's what we'll look at. Sometimes it's form, function, and some are larger, some are smaller, some can traverse different areas in terms of the floor management. So we'll look at it from that perspective, from those technologies. One thing I'd like to say, though, one of the bigger challenges, and it was touched on a little bit earlier in the panel discussion, is the intellectual property situation for us, because more and more of our customers are saying, well, I want to use that type. I don't want to name brands because I want to be fair, but
sure,
I want to use that brand over here to do this, and I want to use this brand over here to do this. But I really would like them to be able to talk to each other. And that's one of the challenges in intellectual property. Same with the traditional robots. And it was touched on that panel and saying we need to find a way to be able to communicate across those, whether it's enterprise level or some other level of software management, or whether or not we get somebody like there's Ross or Microsoft's come up with a plan to try to have a homogeneous programming language management, as many, as you say, keywords are used to that, but it's critical to have that to be able to work, because there's different technologies have different capabilities, and we could utilize those together. And the customers recognize that. Over here in this area, and I'm just pointing to that space, but I want to use this technology, but it doesn't really help me because I want that connectivity. I want that information. So now I'm stuck with saying, okay, I can only use this supplier because I use their technology already, and I can't do this process with that other technology because it doesn't talk to it. So I think that's the bigger challenge we got to work on going forward as an industry. I think it is being addressed. That's why at the panel they brought that point up, that they recognize that is a market push, and I think we'll see it. I use an analogy like the cell phones, and I know you guys are too young for that, but when the cell phones first came out, it was kind of proprietary situations where if you weren't on the same plan, you couldn't talk to my cell phone. Yeah. It sounds almost illogical.
I vaguely remember this now that you bring it up, actually. Yeah, no, I do remember those days. We were around with dial-up internet, right? We're not that young. Come on.
I know, but it just didn't even sound logical that you would have something like that. But as a market said, this isn't going to work for us. We got to push this to have something where we can talk across those platforms. I think we're going to see the same thing going forward across these technologies. You're seeing just a great dynamic time of technology growth and technology investments and investments in trying to bring new technologies to different markets. I think this will be the push from the market to say, if you want to do this, we got to be able to communicate across this.
So last question, because we got to jump back into the sessions. We've been here half a day so far. We've been through a lot of great discussions around workforce. We've been talking about the logistics companies of the future. What's one new thing that you've learned from being here today, or maybe an aha moment you've had?
And so I don't know if you both know Eric Nieves, and he's a gifted speaker, certainly very, very intelligent, maybe one of the smartest people in the industry. But he said something, and somebody else picked up on it today, and I think is really key message we have to get out there is, with the advent of new technology, we need more technologists. And that's something we have to continue to do. It's nice to see that people recognize it's a challenge. We have to, and I heard today with FedEx, and the aha moment for me, that FedEx investing in that. They're investing in educational environments, working together with business and education to be able to support that workforce skill development, et cetera. It's a big pat on the back, but for me, it was an aha moment. I didn't realize it big companies like that were making that kind of investment, and we need it. So I'm very proud of what they're doing, and I think that from so far, there's a lot I learned, but that was a key thing for us as an industry.
New technologists needed in industry. Joe, if we want to connect with Calvary Robotics, where do we do that?
Go to our website if you can, and that's pretty simple. It's calvaryrobotics.com, or you can certainly reach out to me at any time, and my email is jgemma@calvaryrobotics.com.
Perfect. Well, hey, Joe, thanks for jumping on.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure chatting with you guys.
Likewise. Cheers.